Hey guys, welcome to Zara Barry's official digital book launch party for Girl Stop Passing Out in Your Makeup.
Yay!
Woo! It is officially out today, and I'm so excited to be here with your beautiful author, Zara Barry. Just how the hell do you feel right now?
It just all feels so surreal. And I just feel obviously scared shitless. It's actually officially out there in the world. That's very different than just thinking about it as a product. But like now I'm starting to be like, oh shit, the vulnerability is out there. But in general, I feel so excited. And even though we're in quarantine and things are really tough in the world, I feel excited to like have a night celebrating words.
Absolutely.
Oh, and also, just
before we go any further, we
please.
have been social distance and quarantined together for weeks now. And it works.
I couldn't leave Dana in an apartment in the city.
So I've been here, and it's been really fun, and we hope everybody is safe and healthy and happy that's watching, and we're sending you so much love. And we thank you so much for being here for this incredibly exciting and important day. So without further ado, I think Zara is going to read us an excerpt from Girl Stop Passing Out in Your Makeup.
I am. Just a disclaimer, we are obviously in my house. There are 3 dogs here and a cat. None of them, my dog actually just like ran across. None of them are well behaved. So you might hear barking, a dog might jump on my lap, everything might collapse. That's just how we do it over here. So don't mind any of that. And I'm going to start. I'm really nervous, guys, but I'm really excited. And I just want to say thank you for being here with me on literally the most important day of my entire career. So this means everything. And I'm going to read a part of the intro, but it's not the beginning of the intro. I'm going like a few pages deep because I didn't want to bore you with like the whole setting everything up. I just wanted to kind of get right into the meat of it. So if it starts off a little abruptly, that's why, and I know I should just shut up and start going, and that's what I'm going to do. I longed for a book that spoke to girls like me and my friends. Single millennial girls reared in the age of social media and Kate Moss and leaked sex tapes. Girls who have done drugs and slept around. Girls who are racked with guilt over what they did last night. Girls who burn so intensely, they often end up unleashing their fire onto themselves, leaving them scorched and scarred. So I decided to follow the advice of the late Toni Morrison, who famously said, if there is a book that you want to read, but it hasn't been written yet, then you must write it. So here it is. A book I have always wanted to read. A book made specifically for girls who not only need to traipse over to the bathroom and scrub their faces, but who also need to confront the lifetime of mascara residue resting beneath their eyes, the stained into the skin leftover bits of eyeliner that forgive them a forever raccoon-like appearance. And I don't mean that literally, because this book has nothing to do with beauty or skincare hacks, and it's certainly not about products. When I say girl, stop passing out in your makeup, what I really mean is this. Let's look at the naked reality of our lives. Let's allow our skin to breathe so it can actually heal for once. Let's examine all the beautiful grit that lives beneath the shiny exterior we are forever presenting to the outer world. Because if we get down and dirty with what this book is really about, it's about digging deep and pulling out the truth. And the truth, unlike the shimmery blush and the creamy lipstick we slather across our skin like armor every morning, the truth doesn't have to be pretty. All it has to be is true. Isn't that a relief? And here's the beautiful thing about confronting the truth. Once we gaze into our unfiltered reflections and get comfortable in the discomfort of how we look barefaced, we'll relearn how to fall asleep. There is a stark difference between falling asleep and passing out. Falling asleep is a choice. Passing out is not. Passing out is the body shutting down without your permission. Us girls who pass out on the regular, makeup caked on or makeup cleansed off, we're too tightly wound to let go and allow our bodies to relax in the vulnerability of a true night's rest. So we find ourselves going to extreme measures in order to escape the prison of our ever-vibrating brains and exit our bodies for a while. Maybe we pop Ambien or Xanax into our mouths, or smoke loads of weed, or down a bottle of red wine, or work out for 3 hours a day until our eyes feel like they're bleeding from the artificial light of the computer screen until bam, our bodies have shut down and we're out. Cold. There is no falling. I didn't sleep. I just passed out throughout the entire decade of my 20s. I didn't take off my makeup for the entire decade of my 20s either. I bought into the bullshit notion that I somehow owed the world this sparkly, polished version of myself. If I wasn't a size 0, I felt invisible. If I didn't show up to the party glittering and smiling, then I was convinced I didn't deserve to be at the party. That if I wasn't witty and pretty and charming, I was letting everybody down. Who? I don't know, babe. All I know is that I never wanted to remove my makeup and gaze into the unfiltered truth of my life. I never let myself break down. I never let myself cry in public. If something bad happened to me, and a lot of bad things happened to me, I would isolate myself in my apartment for 3 days and have endless panic attacks. And then on the 4th day, I would shower and shave and flatten the kinks out of my untamable mop of curls with a blazing hot iron and paint my face and cartwheel into the world like none of it had happened. But here's the real tea. If you keep sleeping in your makeup, you're eventually going to wake up to that beautiful reflection riddled with acne. If you keep swallowing secrets, you'll eventually combust. Before you know it, all the shit you've been running from will catch up to you and it will knock you right the fuck down. Trust me. By the time I reached 26, I nosedived so hard into the pavement, I'm amazed I didn't die from the impact. But I didn't die. I made it out alive, and so can you. So if you're feeling lost, lonely, sexually confused, afraid, a bit queer, too sick-humored for your friend group, born into the wrong family, kind of like you're always teetering between hating yourself and feeling like a queen, or like you're blindly falling through outer space, not knowing when or if you're gonna land on solid ground, come inside. You're under my wing now. And guess what? You're safe here. I promise. And together, we'll work through our druggy issues, our love addictions, our teenage traumas, our partying mishaps, our STD scares. We'll fucking laugh and we will fucking cry, but we will learn to forgive ourselves for our mistakes. And eventually, we will become empowered by the lessons of our magnificent failures. After all, tasting the pavement on the ground only means you fell from a really high place. And really high places are dangerous, it's true, but they have the most beautiful views, don't they? And I don't know about you, but I think a pretty view is always worth the pain of a fall. But if your scar is too fresh and too grotesque for you to look at right now, I'll find you the prettiest pink Band-Aid and we'll cover up the bloody mess for now, and I'll sit with you and I'll wait for it to heal. Then when it's time, we'll rip it off and gaze into that gorgeous fucked up scar together. And we'll admire it, because it's weird and different, and what's weird and different is high fashion. And while we might not be perfectly manicured little angels, we're most definitely high fashion. So get as cozy as possible, grab the blanket of your choice, curl up in the couch in that oh so comforting Juicy Couture velour sweatsuit that you haven't rocked since the 7th grade, and dive recklessly into this book. Because I'm here to serve as your big sister guide and will help you, little sister, navigate the dark and stormy waters of adulthood. I'm going to provide you with the razor sharp, real AF kind of advice only a real big sister can provide. Because it's my life mission to help all of you messy girls get your shit together. And let me assure you, there's no one in the world more qualified to help you figure this complicated, grown-up mayhem out like yours truly. Because I'm the messiest bitch you'll ever meet. Even so, after years and years of falling on my face, my bruises have turned into stunningly beautiful scars. After years and years between hating myself and feeling like a queen, I'm no longer seasick. After years and years of self-destruction, I have finally learned how to channel my fiery, crazy girl energy into wild creativity, passionate yet healthy relationships, a career that feeds my soul and pays my bills, and ultimately, an adventurous, fulfilling, nuanced life. The most precious gem I've unearthed in my journey, I haven't lost myself in the process of bettering myself. I'm still that klutzy girl with the big opinions and the loud mouth, only my extraness no longer comes with a side of pain. It comes with a giant, family-side portion of self-love and self-worth that I never knew could taste so sweet. Big sisters never lie, and I'm no exception. I'll admit that the depression and the anxiety and the panic attacks and the desire to chug white wine in order to silence the demons definitely still attempt to hold my spirit hostage from time to time. But unlike before, I now have the tools to keep those pesky monsters at bay. And instead of trying to ignore the bad feels that occasionally pound down my door at 3 a.m., I let them in. Because I am no longer afraid of them. See, I now understand that feelings, no matter how painful or big or unfamiliar they are, can't ever physically kill me. Running away from them can. This book is going to be a wild ride. Together, we're going to stop running away from our fears and learn how to deal with all the shit us unhinged girls are afraid to deal with. Like the terrifying realities of money, or the toxic person you're fucking who takes up so much space in your life there isn't room for anything else. We're going to talk about the prescription speed you think you need in order to function, but is actually holding you back from living your truth. We're going to help you find your purpose and build a career that you love. We're going to improve the relationship you have with yourself. So when love and opportunity do come waltzing into your world, you won't screw it up because you're afraid of good things, or addicted to chaos, or crazy clingy because you have no self-worth without the validation of another person. In fact, we're going to squash your need for validation entirely. We're going to learn that validation is like a shitty bump of coke. Just like that heartless bitch blow, validation gets you high for 15 minutes, then crashes your spirit into the ground and leaves you crawling on the carpet, desperately searching between the floorboards for more. Enough of that bullshit, sister. And girl, stop passing out in your makeup. We're going to fuel your confidence so it sustains you in the long term. No more quick fixes, you hear? That means no more chill pills or reckless shopping sprees or dark bouts of binge eating. We'll replace the fleeting feel-goods with something far more powerful than a temporary high. We'll replace it with something real. We'll replace it with love. And together, we're going to stop giving a shit about what everybody else thinks and start embracing the essence of who we actually are. Because if there is one thing that I have learned in this haphazard whirlwind of a life, it is this. If you don't honor who you are, if you don't worship at the altar of your natural rhythms and fierce eccentricities and extraordinary talents, you'll never love the girl that gazes back at you in the mirror. And when you don't love that girl, you'll end up destroying that girl. And that girl is all you really have. She's far too beautiful to destroy. Speaking of beauty and mirrors and all that jazz, we're going to deep dive into all your body image issues too, which I know is triggering and uncomfortable, but also so important. Take it from me. I wasted far too many precious years of my life waging a war against my body, secretly vomiting into nasty toilet bowls, sucking my stomach in during sex. I know firsthand that you can't manifest shit when you treat your body like shit. You live in your body. And if you detest your home, you'll always feel unstable, no matter how many downward dogs you do or how many self-help books you devour. By the end of this book, we'll channel our collective fire into one giant, beautiful flame that will light up the goddamn world. Because I swear to my higher power, Lana Del Rey, there is nothing more powerful than a wild child who has finally decided to channel her messy girl prowess into a fabulous, fulfilling, productive life. Good girls, watch out. We bad girls aren't taking a back seat anymore. In fact, we're driving the goddamn car. And the road we might have gotten off to a rocky start. I'm going to take that line back because I screwed it up. And the road we take might have gotten off to a rocky start, but it's leading us to a magical place.
First of all, holy fucking shit, right, guys? I mean, really, I have been with Zara every step of the way of this.
She really has.
I have never been not in awe of her, but hearing it out loud and seeing the book, I can't even imagine how you feel right now. And I know I asked you at the beginning of this, but I want to ask you again, how do you feel?
I mean, it was weird. I haven't really, I think I maybe read this out loud once to time it. So it's so interesting, and I don't know if you had this experience as a writer. Reading things out loud is so different. And I just I've read it so many times, and reading it, I was like, holy shit, wait, I actually created this. These are words that came out of me, and yeah, it's surreal.
Yeah.
It felt really, really real. I did one other reading a few days ago, just a reading for Go Magazine on the Go Magazine Live, and I had a similar experience where I was like, whoa, I got so absorbed into it, and I just yeah. That's the most inarticulate answer of my life, but yeah.
Well, where are my manners? First of all, cheers.
Cheers.
You wrote
Cheers,
this
bitch.
incredible book. And it's out
Thank
today.
you.
And I have a few questions for you, if you don't mind, about the book. And
Of course.
I'd love if you could just walk everyone that's watching through the whole process of what it's like to publish a book. Because we see these moments, we see things on Instagram, you see books in the store, but a lot of us don't know what it's really like. And I know
Right.
you'll be honest with us and give us the whole wild ride. So what was the process like doing this?
Yeah, I mean, I feel really strongly about being as honest as possible about this process because, again, I'm sitting here in my green sequin Rent the Runway dress with the beautiful Dana reading the passage out. I'm so happy with the way the book looks.
Is she upside down? Girl.
Probably. I mean, it's pretty on brand for me to have my book upside down. But the process of getting here is so goddamn unglamorous and hard. So I, obviously, as you guys probably know, most of you know, I've been writing on the internet for a really long time, and time came to write a book. That was sort of the natural next step. Mm-hmm. It's something I've wanted to do my whole life. And I wrote a proposal for a different book, and I think you read that proposal, and I got picked up by my dream agency, creative artist agency, and I was like, you know what? I deserve this. This is gonna happen so fast. No way. I got rejected by 32 top editors. I had feedback that was heartbreaking. I was told that I lacked the soul to write a book, that my work was vapid. Why does anyone care? I mean, along with some nice feedback too, but even stuff that's kind of hard to hear, like, we don't know how to market you, which is something I've also dealt with my whole life, and it makes me feel like such a misfit when people are like, we don't know how to brand you, and I'm like, I guess I'm just a freak that is unbrandable. So I got, 32 rejections, and you get them all, like, you get each one, you know who rejected you. It's not like your agent just, or in my case, just writes you at the end. You get updates every week, rejection, 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 and you pour so much into your book proposal. I mean, it was really like an intense book proposal. Yeah. I was really proud of it. So that was really, really painful. And I felt almost like my agent was like, it's okay. Maybe we'll try again in, 6 months with something else or blah, blah, blah. And I thought to myself, fuck no. Like, fuck no. I have written through being bullied. I have written through being broke. I have written through death threats. I feel like if you are a creator, like, you just don't stop. You don't take no for an answer. And did I feel shitty and insecure? 100,000,000%. But I wrote anyway. And I took some time and I wrote a whole new book proposal in probably about a week. And
which
book
is
proposals
tremendous.
are intense. They're intense.
A huge thing to do.
But I just, and this is some advice I would give to anyone just going through rejection, because it's going to happen. I feel like people don't talk about it, but it happens to everyone. If it hasn't happened to you, it's going to happen to you eventually. Sorry. But I almost let the shitty feeling and the insecurities, it almost gave me, it added an extra layer to the writing, an extra layer of vulnerability, and I just tapped into that. And then finally, we got an offer, and then everyone's like, okay, well, you did the book proposal, now you have to write the damn book. That's the really hard part. And for me, it's actually the opposite. For me, the business part, the agents, the publicity, all that stuff, packaging, everything, that is so hard. But once I was able to write, what do you sorry, our camera person is distracting me. But once I was able to, once I got it and I was able to write that, while it was obviously hard and deep and intense to go through all that, that was the joy. That was the work was getting the work. Mm-hmm. And then once I had the work, I felt so in alignment. I felt like this is what I'm born to do, and I never want to stop, and I'm never going to let anyone make me stop. So,
speaking of getting the work done, Zara wrote her book in 6 weeks?
I think so.
6 weeks. So that is really damn fast.
Yeah.
And I know, now we know about the process of what it was like to publish it. Can you walk us through the actual creative process, what your day-to-day life was when you created what is in your hands in only 6 weeks?
So, I mean, full disclaimer, I've been writing on the internet for 7 years. And when you write on the internet, and this is why I would recommend to any young writer to get a internet job, even if you're writing about things you don't care about. If you're writing about pop, I don't know, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. Just take the job, because it puts you in this writing boot camp, and You're familiar with that.
Totally.
So it built up this muscle where I had to write quickly. I couldn't second guess myself. If I had writer's block that day, it didn't matter. I'd get fired if I didn't deliver. So I think it's like I'd spent this, like the past 7 or so years, like in combat training, literary combat training. Right. So I built up this muscle, and I don't think I know how to write any other way now. I can't imagine writing it longer. Also, I have ADD, so if I don't have pressure of like a tight deadline, I go all over the place. Like I feel like if I had had a year to write it, I would have written it in the last 6 weeks anyway. Yeah, it's just the way I work. Yeah. So while I was writing it, I set myself into this routine where I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Nut job.
Totally. I went totally nut jobby. I woke up at 5 a.m. because with a clear head and nothing in my brain, I found that I had so much clarity, and I would just write until like 11 or 12, take a break, then, change locations, go to my co-working space, and then like write more, then edit, and then be done around like 9 p.m., go straight to bed. And also kept myself super, super sober, which I also think is a very important thing because I like to have, I obviously struggled in the past, but I do like to have a drink and have fun. But during writing, it's like I knew I needed that stone cold clarity. I couldn't hide behind anything. So yeah, I just kind of made the whole book my world. And honestly, I wouldn't want to write it any other way.
I'm really interested in what it was like to be writing for the internet, churning out these articles really quickly, and then writing a book. What can we get in Girl Stop Passing Out in Your Makeup that we can't get on the internet from Zara Barry, the writer?
Ooh. I feel like, first of all, there's lots of tea that I saved for my book and have been saving for my book. Things I've alluded to but haven't gotten deep into. I think that with the internet, again, you have to worry about crazy deadlines. You write several pieces usually in one day, so you can't go back and really dig as deep as you want to. So there's that. There's a length. Everyone who's ever worked with me, I'm sure you as well, will say like I'm such an overwriter.
Zara over word count Barry.
Yeah, always over word count, and things are always getting edited down, and I'm always driving editors crazy because the rhythm of the internet, people they don't stay on page as long. But when someone's committing to writing a book, that they're in it. That they're invested. So you're able to dig so much deeper. Yeah. And I think there's a level of depth. I felt more safe to write about certain things that I didn't feel safe writing about on the internet. And I also think when you write a book, you become so much a better writer. Like throughout the process of writing it, I feel like my chops got better. And
I would like to add that Zara has such a gift for dialogue that sometimes you don't have the space on the page to write on the internet. And inside this book, there is some of the best dialogue I have ever read. And in a book, you can go way more into a scene than you can do on the internet. Right. And I think you had so much fun with it, and I can tell that on the page. So the dialogue is really lit.
Thank you. And it's hard too, because this, like some of I feel like the things I really want to write about, that editors and magazines, they don't really want those pieces. Yeah. I mean, I kind of disagree with the decision.
I think
too, editors you take on so many amazing personal essays, but I think that people do want that stuff. But absolutely. A lot of the people making, and I do this for a living, this isn't my hobby, so I have to make a living. Right. And a lot of people didn't want this kind of content. So,
well, you're so in touch with your readers, and they do want it.
It's in
here, honey. Do we have time for 2 more?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have time.
Just wanted to make sure. I know. What chapter? It's a two-parter, and I know that you are so vulnerable and honest, and you get so naked in your writing. So I wonder what chapter or what scene was.
Sorry, I just had an image of myself
being ass naked.
Yeah, if someone surprise, there's a nude spread of me.
But when you are getting that naked with your writing, I assume that you go through a shit ton of emotions. So what chapter was the most challenging to write, and then in turn, what chapter made you feel the most light to write?
Great goddamn question. I would say the first real chapter. There's 2. I would say the first real chapter in the book is called Feelings Can't Kill You. And there was some stuff in there that was so hard to revisit. I didn't expect it. I think a lot of it wasn't fully like for me, okay, here's the weird thing. And I don't know if you understand this. But like, I work through my shit as I'm writing. And I think some people have already worked through their shit and then they go write about it. But how I work through my stuff is in the act of writing it. So I think in that chapter, writing about experiences with assault, things that I've really stuffed down, and haven't even dug as deep as I wanted to in therapy. As I was writing it, memories were popping up. And that's how my writing kind of feels. It takes on a life of its own, and it almost feels like channeling. Totally. It was almost like somebody else was writing it, and then afterwards I was like, I didn't even remember or hadn't thought about like that detail or this detail. So that was a very intense experience. And then because that was the first chapter and I did write in order, it like opened me up, and then I started remembering all different kinds of things, and also just being completely as sober as possible, like even sober as far as not looking at social media, like all that stuff just cracked me so wide open. But as far as fun, because the book is also like, that was important to me. It's heavy. There's heavy parts, but there's also fun parts, because guess goddamn what? You can be both. And that was part of what I've struggled with feedback, was like, you got to choose. You got to be this heavy, intense girl writing about trauma, or, write about mimosas. But what if I want to write about both? Because I'm both. So I had so much fun, I would say, writing this chapter. You read it, and it's called Confessions of a Reckless Spender. There's no takeaway. Most of the books have it, or most of the chapters have a takeaway and advice. This is like, girl, I struggle with this, and even though it's like still a problem, it was just so fun to write about. I love writing about like, I love humor, and there's so many funny scenes.
The way you describe clothes and they're talking to you,
right?
Like,
Clothes,
it's so
like
fun.
Playing is so fun, and I really let myself play in that scene. So that was the most fun to write.
Yeah, it's
one of my
really
favorite
fun
chapters.
to read. I think everyone's really gonna love it, especially if you're a shopaholic. You're gonna be like, yes, that's so me. Let's talk about your audience, your kittens, as you called them for a long time at Elite Daily, and still now.
Yes.
You have a really amazing, loyal audience that you are close with and answer DMs and have this whole beautiful, amazing relationship with. Can you talk about your audience and how, they were in your mind when you were writing this book, because they've been with you on this whole journey?
I mean, hell yes. I mean,
your kittens.
My kittens. I started calling my initial audience that I developed at Elite Daily, which I'm so grateful for Elite Daily. It's where I really built my audience and found my voice, and I had amazing editors, some of whom are watching this. Thank you. I love you. But I think that where were we talking about?
Talking about
audience.
What you were thinking when you were writing this book, keeping that in mind.
Oh,
because they ask Zara questions all the time.
Right.
And I know everyone knows.
A lot. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, they're like my muses. My audience, they feel like friends. We feel like a community. We talk all the time. They write me such personal things, and I started calling them kittens, because I felt like. Yeah, kittens. It's like kind of sexy, but kind of innocent, but kind of ferocious.
Yeah,
and that's kind of how I think of my people. Like super cute, but like can also claw your eye out. But yeah, they're all through this book.
Right.
I mean, I wouldn't have written this book without these girls as my inspiration. Like, they're there. Like, I imagine like all the kittens with me as I write a book, and I think something that's really important. Writing is, you have to know who you're talking to, otherwise it can just sound really general. Like if I'm writing and I'm writing an essay to Barack Obama, I'm gonna take on a different tone than if I'm like sitting in my PJs with you and like we're showing each other scars and we're getting down and dirty with the real truth.
Yeah.
And like we're crying and we're safe and we're at home, I'm going to talk differently.
I do think Obama would be down.
I think he'd be down too. But like out of respect,
right,
I would probably take on a more formal tone. But yeah, so I wanted it to feel like all of us were together, like having a slumber party. I wanted it to feel intimate, and I think intimacy is so important in writing, and like you have to figure out who you're talking to, and I'm totally talking to my kittens, 100%.
Who are they?
Who are my kittens? You got an off-camera question. What do you mean?
You said girls, but I want to know.
Boys, kittens? I mean, when I say girls, like I mean anyone who's like got a girly energy. It doesn't matter. You could be whatever. My kittens, I think, are my audience is nuanced. They're like me. They cry and they laugh and they're smart, but they struggle and they're vulnerable and they're open and they're tough and they're all these things. Like, I never thought there was anyone like me, which I think was part of why it hurts to get that rejection of like, you're not marketable. And then when I found my audience, I was like, wait, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only person here who wants to put on a glittery party dress, but is also like deep and has trauma, but also wants to laugh. And, you know, so it's for people who don't fit into a box of what a girl or girly person, girly presenting person, femme presenting party girl looks like. So yeah, that's my people. They're me. I am my people. And that's the other thing I that's so important to me is like, I'm not a guru. I'm not an expert. I don't have a degree. I still struggle with this stuff actively the last 2 weeks. I was definitely with quarantine and COVID and all this stuff. Like I felt like I was falling back into habits of self-medicating and running away from feelings. I'm not trying to be anyone's like role model. I'm here with you. Like we're like, I like to think of us, we're sitting in the waiting room. You're about to go to therapy. We're going to talk about your demons, but I'm holding your hands.
Yeah.
And I'm being like, bitch, I've been through this too. Yeah. And like, I'm here to like, help, like be supportive.
Which has totally happened with us.
Right. So so I am them, I guess.
And I think that's why Zara is such an amazing narrator, and we trust you. We trust her because you allow us inward and we identify with you. And that's, to me, what makes a narrator that I'm going to trust. Otherwise, I'm like, why the fuck are you telling me what to do? So I think
Thank
that,
you.
So I really trust you.
I'm not telling you what the fuck to do.
You know what I mean, though. Why are you telling me about your life? What do you have to say to me? She's not telling you what to do. Sorry.
Right. Sometimes I do.
So if Girl Stop Passing Out on Your Makeup was a person, what would she be like?
What would she be like? I think she would be... Okay, here's the scene. I think she's a lot of people.
Okay.
But what kept me grounded, because my kittens are different, they come from all over the world, their life experience are different, so sometimes I felt like, which kitten am I talking to? But what grounded me was I found an image on Pinterest. I'm very into Pinterest. I have a very in-depth Pinterest board for this book that I have shared with you guys. I'll share it again. But I found this image of this girl, and she is looking into a bathroom mirror, and she's taking a mirror selfie, and she's wearing this red dress, and it's a pretty girly red dress, but she's also wearing these badass Doc Marten boots. And she's got that juxtaposition of girly and grunge. And she's taking a mirror selfie not because she's going to post it on Instagram, but because she's documenting her life. And she's in the bathroom and she's thinking to herself, do I stay out and party? Do I pop an Adderall and go against my body's natural rhythms and stay out? Or do I go home, listen to my instincts that something bad's going to happen this night, honor my natural rhythms, and go home and sleep and love myself and take care of myself? And she's stuck in those crosshairs. Is it crossfires?
I think it's both.
She's stuck in that crossfire of do I want to go home, or do I want to pop an Adderall and stay out and destruct? And I want to come into the bathroom. I want to pound on the bathroom door and be like, girl, go home. It's okay. You don't need to take that pill. Your friends will forgive you. I promise. And now let's like have our slumber party. So does that answer the question?
Absolutely.
And I mean, you know.
Well, can you just tell us and show us this iconic cover and tell us further the story behind it? It kind of ties into what you just talked about. Yeah.
So when I saw that image of this girl on Pinterest, again, it's not like a modelly picture or anything. I was like, I want that to be what the cover of the book looks like. I didn't want it to be like, I wasn't even sure if I wanted to be on the cover, but I want to be like holding a martini glass, like all like perfect and polished and blown out, because that's not who I am and that's not what this book represents. I wanted it to feel raw and late night and have that exact feeling, like a girl taking a picture in a bar bathroom, not sure of what she's going to do next. So the funny thing is one night I was in a bar, Hardware, which is a gay bar in Hell's Kitchen, and I just, I had a few drinks and I just replicated the pose and took the picture on my Samsung phone. I believe it was the S10. I took my, was that right? S10, yeah. I took my, just a mirror selfie there. And I was like, I love this picture, and then I just sent it to the designer at the publisher, and they were like, we can work with this. And I'm like, what if we had the title in lipstick? Like a note to yourself. Girl, stop passing out in your makeup. Like, girl, like, be true to yourself. Girl, let's confront shit. Because I always like to have notes to myself. And then that's how we came up with this. So this was a completely unplanned picture, wasn't supposed to be the cover, but it just had that raw thing that I think is really hard to replicate in a shoot. And yeah, so this is a phone shot cover, which I love because I like a DIY moment.
There's a lot of really amazing characters in Girl Stop Passing Out in Your Makeup, and before we close out, I want to hear about Sharon and I want to hear about Beatrice. Can we go there?
Beatrice.
There's no Beatrice?
I would say Sharon. Beatrice comes up a little, but I would say
I love Beatrice.
She's Beatrice, Violet. Like there's a few.
Okay.
Should we talk about Sharon?
Let's focus on Sharon.
I feel like we should focus on Sharon because I don't want to give plots away and things like that.
Sorry. Spoiler alert.
So, Sharon, who you guys will meet in the book, she is my higher self. And I know that when people talk about the higher self, I don't know, maybe they imagine a godlike figure, maybe they imagine, I don't know. I always imagine this really awesome, sensible woman who's from the Midwest, who has a Coach bag and a square-tipped French manicure, unlike my chipped quarantine nails, and always just like has a sensible thing to say. Like I feel like there's that wise woman who lives inside of me who's like, Zara, go home. Or like, Zara, this person's toxic for you. Like, what are you doing? Zara, feel your feelings. Zara, it's time to get a therapist. And I think we all have a Sharon inside of us, but personifying her really has helped me get in touch with her.
Right.
So when I'm doing something that feels out of alignment, I'm like, Sharon, come into my life. Give me a pep talk. Mm-hmm. And I feel like she does because I feel like we all kind of have the answers inside of ourselves. We just have to trust it. And since it's been hard for me to trust myself, kind of creating this fake woman inside of myself has really helped. And Sharon's a lot in the book. And
she's so fun. I'm obsessed with Sharon.
Yes, me too.
And it's just, I can tell you it's so much fun creating the character, and she really comes alive on the page. I think that really shows your writing chops too. Let's talk about the fact that this book is just climbing the numbers on Amazon right now.
Oh God.
I don't want to embarrass you.
It's going to embarrass me.
But the book is doing amazing on Amazon. In the dating realm, it's doing really well, and in memoir. So if you guys haven't bought the book yet, I'm going to brag for Zara because she won't do it for herself. You need to get your ass on Amazon. Buy the book. If you have the book and can write a review for the book, this kind of stuff means the world for writers. And the higher Zara gets up on Amazon, the more lit this whole thing is. And I just am astonished by your talent. And I know everyone that's watching this, if you haven't read the book, you're excited to read the book. If you've read the book, I'm sure that you are just gleaming with pride and excitement right now. And there's so much work and talent that went into this. And I mean, the book is published with Simon & Schuster. Like, hello, that is so
Post-Hill
huge.
Press.
Post-Hill Press, which is owned by Simon & Schuster.
Distributed by Simon & Schuster.
And you have a huge agent, and you worked so hard for this. And I think everybody needs to know, like, how hard you work. It's not just talent, it's hard work. And Zara's the whole package of talent and hard work.
Whole
data. Yes.
I have some questions from the audience.
Oh, we have questions from the audience.
Okay.
Hannah Orstein. She would like to know what has surprised Zara about the book launch.
About the book launch?
Oh, sorry. So Hannah, who's our really good friend and author as well, and editor at Elite Daily, wants to know what surprised you the most about your book launch today.
Oh my God. You know what surprised me the most is, and I know this sounds so cheesy, but it's just like so true, is how much, I'm gonna cry, but like how much readers and friends and other writers and like people I've worked with have shown up for me. I always feel like everybody hates me. I'm a fraud. I don't belong in the book world. I'm not educated enough. Blah, 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 blah. I feel like the biggest fraud. And to have like people like Hannah and people like the amazing editors I've worked with just like stand for me and have my audience like actually, like, it's one thing for them to read your stuff on the internet, but like they went and bought the book and have supported me. Like my mind is blown. Like I thought I was gonna have to like knock on people's doors and just like beg them to buy it. And every time I asked someone for a blurb, I was like, they're gonna say, I hate you, Zara, no way, I'm not blurbing your book. So just to have like all this support is like mind blowing. I didn't expect it, and I'm so goddamn grateful. So thank you.
I'm going to read you some more. Donnie wants to know, hi Donnie, Zara, what did you learn about writing this book?
What did I learn about writing it? You know what I learned? I learned that even in the face of rejection, because I'm terrified of rejection, as is I think a lot of us are, that you can be rejected and feel insecure and feel all these ways, imposter syndrome, all that, but still get the shit done anyway. And that I think I have a lot more perseverance inside of me than I thought I was. Like I'm someone who sometimes I ask my wife to open up my emails because I'm like, every time my agent writes, I'm like, he's dropping me. You know? So I feel like I always thought I always created this narrative that I was really fragile, and I'm not, because I went through those 32 goddamn rejections and I kept going. And that's what I learned about. I think I learned about that, like, I can show up for myself.
Alexia LaFeda wants to know, how do you overcome imposter syndrome? I know you just talked about it a little bit, but do you have any advice for all of us who might be struggling with imposter syndrome?
Still a bitch for me. I have it right now. Like major. But you know what? I think the biggest thing is to almost like lean into it in a way. Like not like obsessed and stay up all night, but when you're writing, let that be like a part of your vulnerability. Like I didn't run away from it, and this might not work for everyone, but what worked for me, anytime I'm like, don't feel this way, don't feel this way, don't feel like an imposter, positive affirmations in the mirror, oh, I deserve to be here. Like it actually doesn't work for me. So what works for me is be like, yeah, you feel like a fucking imposter. And even writing that down and bringing that into the character's life. She feels like an imposter, and making that like part of the storyline and part of the work. Because if the Wing is this woman's co-working space that I belong to. I never saw the Wing more packed than it was a panel on imposter syndrome. Everybody feels it. So if you make it a part of your character's journey and like, again, have that vulnerability come through in the piece, so many people are going to connect to it on a deeper level, because we all struggle with it, especially women. I really do think women struggle with it in a very unique kind of way. So, and also, you're amazing. You shouldn't be an imposter. You do deserve to be here. And keep writing.
Eduardo is interested in tips for someone wanting to dive deeper into themselves.
Ooh, that's beautiful. Tips for diving deeper into yourself. Read the book. No. That really, the whole book is actually...
That's a secret I'll never tell.
Right, that is a secret. I mean, that is what's really the core of the book is about, is diving deeper into yourself. But I think that a really great place to start digging deep and that's safe is in therapy. And I know therapy seems inaccessible. I stopped for the last 4 years because I came up with all the excuses, started again yesterday, was like, what am I felt like I broke up with someone I should have never dumped. Because I think it's just such a safe place to really dig deep, and a good therapist is going to pull things out of you and connect things and make you understand yourself in such a different way. And when you understand yourself and why you do the things you do, you become less afraid of yourself. And when you're less afraid of yourself, that's when you can dive really deep.
That was beautiful advice. Kat Ricker wants to know what books have inspired you.
Ooh. Oh my God. I'm a huge reader. I love books. I love books so much. But I would say I could never imagine life. And it's funny because I didn't even learn about her until a few years into my writing career. I love Kat Marnell, as you know.
Love
her so much. She tweeted me the other day my book, and I actually cried. I was like, it's a sign. But I love how she is a female who talks about her experiences as she's going through them before they're perfectly resolved and tied up in a bow. And that's such the kind of writing I love. And she's voicey, and she's nuanced and whip smart, but doesn't feel like she has to put disclaimers in, and just dives deep and has a voice. I love her so much. And then I have so many girls on the internet that I also love. I love Alexia Lafayette. I love Candace Jalili and Hannah Orenstein and Dana Troisi. So many of my internet girls are just, I think publishing needs a little bit of internet in it.
Yeah.
A little bit of that sort of, us internet girls, we've had, our jobs have been on the line. It's so much pressure. You just kind of stop being precious, and you dive into these issues, and you get rid of any snobbery you might have. You learn to write on the train, and there's a grit in our work that I think belongs in books.
Definitely.
I also love Sylvia Plath and freaking Joan Collins.
Yeah.
I like a lowbrow book as much as anyone. I just read Janice Dickinson's memoir.
Oh yeah.
No lifeguard on duty.
No lifeguard on duty. Yeah, I'm not a snob. I like all levels.
Joe has a really good question for you. How did you learn to listen to Sharon when the temptation to make bad decisions can be so hard to fight?
Did you listen?
I do sometimes. Sharon goes away if I put up too much of a fight. And I started to notice that when I was resisting Sharon, I was like, screw you, Sharon. This person's not toxic. Leave. She'd be like, okay, bitch. And she'd go. And then my life would fall apart. And they say that, insanity is repeating the same thing again and again and expecting different results. And then I got to a place where I was like, I don't want to keep repeating the same patterns. I think when you get stuck in cycles and patterns, you don't grow. Yeah. And I wanted to go forward. And if I wanted to go forward, I knew I had to start listening to Sharon. And if I drink too much, I'm over-medicated, I don't hear her voice anymore. So that's why it's really important to me, and I'm not saying I'm perfect, I screw up, but it's really important to me to not cross that line, because I want to always hear Sharon, because I think all women are blessed. Sharon's intuition, and we all have it. We all have it so majorly and powerfully. And we push her away, and then that's when we get in trouble. And so just learning I didn't want that for my life. I wanted big, extraordinary things in my life, and I couldn't move forward and have those things if I didn't listen to Sharon, because she's a wise bitch.
Cheers to Sharon.
Cheers to Sharon. I should have dedicated the book to Sharon.
Who did you dedicate the book to?
Who did I dedicate the book to? The book is dedicated to girls who live on Long Island and listen to Lana Del Rey. And
amazing.
Obviously, that's a metaphor. I did go to a Jones Beach concert in Long Island, That was a Lana Del Rey concert. And I saw these girls. They're all in their flower crowns. And they all connected to her sad music. But they were like also into their fashion. And they just like girls like, you know, who live in suburbia. Like I grew up in suburbia. Live in small towns but have these big worlds inside of their heads. And yeah, they're my muses. So every girl at that concert was my muse.
Oh, I know.
So
that's why.
I
love that.
Yeah. And I also kind of grew up on Long Island.
Yeah.
You grew up on
Long Island girl.
Long Island, tri-state girls.
If you can leave all the amazing people that are watching right now with just one gem of wisdom or one thought about your book or just something, if you could say something to everybody right now who's watching this, probably quarantined from their apartments or houses, maybe with a wine or with a tea, that just love good writing and honest conversations, what would you say to them?
That's a very tough question, but I would say my number one, I guess, takeaway from writing this and life recently, and it is like, feel your feelings. And like some feelings are really painful and they're hard, but that feeling, as hard as it is, it's not going to actually physically kill you. It's not a monster. I used to think feelings were this monster that were going to kill me in my sleep. So anytime I felt pain or hurt or shame, I was like, how do I stuff this feeling down? And I would run from them. I would either binge drink or have empty sex or, you know, workaholicism, all that stuff. I would do everything so I didn't feel. And then I learned that feelings long to be felt. And not only that, feelings are there for a reason. If you were anxious or sad, it's not because there's something wrong with you. Lean into it because it's your body telling you something. It's telling you, like I thought something was wrong with me and I needed to be severely medicated because I felt sad. No, I was sad because I wasn't living my truth. I was out of alignment with my purpose. I was in the wrong career and the wrong relationship. And if I didn't let myself feel that sadness, I wouldn't have evolved and made life decisions that could actually make me more whole. So embrace the feelings, make love to the feelings. I always say make love to them like that toxic lover. Yeah, feelings are guardian angels. They're not demons.
I have one more.
Feelings.
One more?
One more. So have you figured it out?
Figured it out?
Yeah.
God, no.
What can we expect?
I mean, I'm not like leaving this book with any sort of takeaway of like, oh my God, I've reached nirvana. You know, not at all. I don't know what to expect. All I do know is that I'm going to be real with you guys, as I've always been. And this is a struggle for me, as it is for everyone else, or maybe not for everyone else, but I am a flawed creature, and my number one dedication is not to have the answers or to be a role model. It is to speak the truth, because the truth is always what has set me free. Not only that, but connected me to others. And as somebody who gets very lonely, I long for genuine, authentic, deep connections, and I can't have that without being honest. So I think the only thing to expect from me is that I'm going to be real with you. And it might be ugly, and it might not be perfectly cohesive with this book.
It might ruin the party.
But I will never stop being real with you. They're making fun of me because I ruin parties by like all of a sudden demanding everybody listens to like a sad song and like.
She'll put on like "Praying" by Kesha when everyone's like, "Woo!" And
Yeah.
she's like, "You know what this
I
song's
ruin
about?"
parties. Yeah, I do all the time because this is what's interesting.
It's
to
your
me.
party trick.
It's my party trick, right?
Well, you make everyone have really honest conversations, so.
And
there you
also
go.
like make people cry and leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm not interested in other things. I finally like embrace like I'm interested in sad things.
The darkness, the deepness.
The darkness, the deepness. That's what I'm passionate about.
Yes.
So yeah, that's which we both have
We have
tattooed.
tattooed, but they're covered up right now.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're covered up right now because we are in a good Christian program. Anyway, should we wrap?
Yeah,
What
thank
about
you
the-
all
Thank you,
so
Dana.
much for being here.
Thank you,
Yes,
Dana.
Dana.
Thank you, Megan, our executive
Thank you,
producer.
Megan, for
But
filming.
mainly, thank you. Today is all about honoring you because you guys have shown up for me. I cry about it all the time. Like, I am so blessed, and I could not have done this without you guys. You're my everything, my inspiration, my muses. my best friends, my family. I love you so much. I couldn't take emotional risks in my work if I didn't feel like I had a safe place to land. And you guys are all that safe place to land for me. So thank you. I love you.
Love you guys.
Yay.
Bye.
Bye.
Woo! Be safe.
Baby, make sure you don't delete it.
I mean, I don't know what I'm doing here.
Do you want me to do it?